triple?
Triple? Yeah, it is. Any other details about it? Huh? ADR. I don't know if that classifies as rig. Automatic drilling. Yeah, it does have that in the doghouse. Computer systems in the doghouse. Yep, it does. Yes. This is a neighbor's M rig out in Pennsylvania. Why it's distributed is the size, gateway, area argument is. Once you guys get out in the field in the industry, you'll know these rigs just by passing on the highway. You're gonna be able to say that's a T rig, that's a neighbor's rig, precision rig. It's important because how these are set up is how you set up the location. And that can come in a lot of trick planning and save you guys a bunch of time and effort if you know how to move this rig and set it up on the command. How many of you have been on the rig for over a year? Over 5 years? Okay. How many of you have been on the rig at all? Yeah. Okay. In industry, once you guys get out there, you need to notice that everybody starts off everything with the ceiling because it is paramount out there. You guys don't have them here. The ones that haven't been out there for 5 years, you guys see the issue? Very hard. Awesome. Good. What else? Anything else? Why is it hard? It's a portable. They call this a blackout. So we run off generators supply power to everything on location. The history of this picture is in the middle Bakken formation. This is your middle Bakken shale. They call it the Carrington Shale, is right above that, and then this is your middle Bakken dolomite. We were on the rig floor. The process we're doing is called the curve. It's literally why we're out there. If there wasn't a curve, we could probably do this mostly through satellite and remote operations. Let's see, they're working on diligently right now. I think I had 40,000 pounds on it. Right here's an overpressurized reservoir. Always get gas in some areas. Always get a gas kick the second you pierce through that. So we have 40,000 pounds on it. We just went through a formation that has gas. And the motor hand is in the gen shed and mopping, I believe. And you kick the valve. Get all the diesel off to this rig. So, I mean, we're going 100 feet an hour. We're drilling ahead pretty quick. We have extremely high flow rates, high pressure, and all of a sudden everything shuts down. When you observe something bad in the oil field with your VHA, you usually pick up and assess the situation. Well, how do we pick up if we don't have power? We don't. Also, as you guys know, this gas is coming up a well where we have to control the situation. So who's going to monitor our gas tank? Where are we going to monitor it? Where are you going to start staging people? You guys with the experience, where would you put people at? Just blacked out the rig.
Driller in the doghouse, motorman in the manifold shack, and you have to have someone with the radio and the accumulator because it's the only way you can be able to open and close it.
Now, how are we going to tell that we have a kick coming our way? What is the one area we know we're going to increase volume if we got a good kick coming our way? Pit, right? So immediately what happened when this happened is the driller's out of the doghouse. He's gone. He's down to the SCR house and getting things back in order. They're having trouble restarting the system. Tool pusher is on his way to that, but these things are happening instantaneously. We sent a guy to the pits to watch our kick volume. If anything came through here, And if we got the rig restarted as fast as possible, we still have 40,000 pounds on this bit with no fluid going through it. What can happen?
Get stuck.
Get stuck? What about you pack off your front of your bit? I mean, if that pressure lets go, and this is a Carrington shale, a softer formation, and that weight is just sitting there, it might relax and drill itself ahead a half a foot, enough to plug its bit off. It was a huge situation. When the rig blacks out, generally a directional driller has nothing to do with it. We go sit in our shack and make patience. But at this point in time, we were drilling the curve. We're up there 24/7. And this happens, what are you gonna do as a directional driller? How can you help people understand what's going on? Immediately, I told that driller, you have a gas valve on the backside. You have to assess this. So, in industry, they always start off with safety. Well, that's kind of jumping ahead of all the parts and pieces. Let's start putting it together. Brandon talked about last week, tortuosity. That's this guy. I put all of your tortuosity in that well, purposefully. The company man, I don't know if any of you guys ever been company men here, they hate us. They literally hate our existence on their rig. Why is that?
Well, a good directional driller is just fine, but a bad one will hockey stick the well, and then you have all kinds of problems later. You might not notice right away, but as you get deeper and deeper, you're gonna have more torque, more drag, more problems. Might not be casing the bottom.
Exactly. If you're a talented directional driller, I don't know if any of you guys are first class today, but your future classes, right? We're going to put in a curve here, not in the shale, but in the dolomite. We have to mathematically predict this as best as possible and use techniques to have as smooth of a wellbore as possible. One of the problems is they have substantial amounts of issues sticking casing right here, or right here. Or when they go into the lower Three Forks, the lower block of shale, they'll plant casing out all the time. I'm going to talk to you guys about that here a little bit more. But I'm the guy that puts all the tortuosity in that. Brandon models things after us. We get surveys, they send it to them, then they do the math. That stuff is huge. That would be the greatest software to have real time while you're out there. It's a really great software. I did this last year with a 2-part class. We're going to cover all of this here in about 45 minutes. Here's some history. So let's do the 1960s, the first positive displacement motor built. I'm going to talk more about that here in a second, but that's a huge step for us, the positive displacement motor. What it was actually was a pump. And somebody figured out, well, if we fixed this, the other end, and we let the other end spin, we got a motor now. And so they started putting a screw pump in as a motor. And this is how we generate torque on the bit with fluid flow going through it. And you guys talked about lobes and stators. So you guys have an idea of how fluid twists that bit in there. Let's talk about well plans. Yeah. Okay. So you guys call us out to your location. We show up. We have tools or your tools, either way. But what are we going to do? Does anybody have an idea of how we're going to map out this path? See, we had North Dakota is becoming huge in stacking wells in. They'll put, like, say our rig's right here. We'll hold the tangent all the way to here. These are all wells. Then they'll set another rig down here 2 miles away, and they'll hold tangents, and they'll do this. Do you think it's important to have a plan for that? Do you think it's important to know the distances between here? Especially where? Where is the distances important between that well and that well?
Right, surface or upper pad.
Why?
Well, it's where you're closest to the other casing. You have the most interference, the most likelihood of smashing it.
What's a big sign that you guys have drilled into something else? Another well. What's a big sign? 2 of them. Not the 5 years experience. Anybody else? Pressure drop or pressure increase. What about volumes? What if you start gaining 50 barrels instantly? And we started these wells off, we have high-end mathematical computations of how far they are and positional uncertainty. But anyways, what if you start off 10 feet? And in some of these, they're drilling the surface casing, which is our second set of casing, directionally as well. So you could have a guy that, there's normally not a directional driller on surface casing. You could have a guy that has very little experience setting your surface casing, and they might have it pointed directly at your next well. So the well plan is how we get a map of what needs to be done. We take that map. And we put our tools together and we start drilling these things. What I want you guys to see out of this is direction. That's what directional drilling is. A driller turns to the right and stomps on this thing. The directional driller stops turning and we start pointing this thing where we'd like to go. What I want you guys to see is azimuth is based off of the compass. So if you're at 180 degrees, what azimuth are you? Which way are you heading? South. Yep. If you're at 90 degrees inclination, where are you? Flat or vertical? Flat. Yep. It's counterintuitive to construction, right? Oh my gosh. Anyways, if you're completely horizontal, you're at 0 degrees. Once you land the curve, you're at 90 degrees. So it's your angle offset from vertical. Something you gotta wrap your mind around. But so azimuth is the way that well is headed. Inclination is the amount of fill that you have in a particular section of the bore. So we use different types of calculations. This is what we use in the field, minimum curvature. It's basically a ratio of one survey station together, and it's the most accurate method of finding a well bore without very high-end mathematical calculations. This is a directional driller's life, total development. If you have this table with a couple other things, you can directionally drill any well out. This is it. This is our job. And this is why, directional drillers, what does it take to be a directional driller? Does anybody know? Can anyone be a directional driller? Yeah. Can they? That's a big statement. There are people out there that are directional drillers and have no right to be in there in any position. But what are some strong suits for a directional driller? Let's start there. Anyone? Trigonometry. Math. You have to be pretty fluent in math. Right? Yes. What else?
You gotta be a long driller. That's the most important part.
Boy, communication is key. And as an engineer, we can definitely make things complicated. You talk to a guy that's been sitting on a drilling rig for 20 years, and you want to explain a complex situation to him, he doesn't have very much patience for it. He wants a concise, clear, simple direction from you. What else is a good thing in direction driller? Data management? Yeah. What did that motor do on the last well? What did that motor throw on the last well? How much degrees per 100 feet did it do? What about the bit? How well did the bit hold? We'll talk about more of that here in just a little bit. Yes, data management. You have to know the history and what the capabilities are of the tools that you have. What else? One of the strongest things that I've developed out there is gut. You have a gut feeling when you do something. Your gut, go ahead.
Does that just come with experience though?
Exactly. When you start out directional drilling, you might have a gut feeling that, hey, things are going great. Life is looking good. We're drilling this curve, and we're about ready to land a half a foot off target, left and right. You're 10 feet left and right. You're dialed in. But for some reason, in experience, one day, you had this weird situation in this Carrington Shale, or your Middle Bakken Shale, that the tool face completely flipped out, just lost all of its control. It's all over the place. The tool face, let's explain that quickly. We have a dial on the rig floor. Here's my drawing. It's like this. Say we want to, it works in magnetics and gravity. Right now, we're just going to work on gravity, which is like shooting through a scope of a gun. If you're looking down a scope of a gun, you're in gravity. If we want to drill with more inclination, no azimuth turn, we call that high side. If you want a left swing azimuth, you're over here. Right swing azimuth, you're over here. So that gut, that one time, that one directional driller that told you one story over a couple beers on casing break, told you that, hey, man, watch yourself in this area. We've lost build rates significantly. If you lose build rates, where are you going to land this thing? If we can't go to 90 degrees, where are we going? Straight down, okay? We're just going past further and further and further and further, straight down. What does that mean? You guys have to re-permit the well. If you would like to land in a different formation, like you're happy with this, but say that we're in the bottom of the Bakken field, they call it, I've heard bird bear, I've heard several other ones. Bird bear. Okay, so you guys are sitting in your office, you get morning reports, we're sending emails every survey in the curve here, and they say, we lost our build rates right here. We can't get it. So our trajectory now looks like this. We're going to land in the bird bear. Do you think you guys have done a considerable amount of pre-planning for the middle block and Dolomite? Casing, stages of completion. You guys have a bird bear well on file? Possibly a vertical well. I mean, I've heard of some being developed in there, but that's type information. I know the operator's not just going to hand you the production rates of their bird bear. So what do? So we're right here, and we're not building. What do? This is the gut. Your gut's telling you it's not worth it. We can't do it. What do? 5 years.
Well, you got lots of choices. You can turn and burn, so you can point high side before it, or you can pull out, dial up the motor, change the bit, jack your pump rates back, and try and slide harder. Like, you have all kinds of options on the side.
Awesome. So that was all preface on the gut. Let's get more into some of the basics here. This right here is an uncertainty plot. What I want you guys to pull away from this, the further we get away from the wellbore, the bigger these ellipses get. So with our NWE systems, there's an the air compiles on top of itself. The further you get away, the more air you have. There is industry standards, which you guys will set up once you get there. Hopefully your operators will have them, that they need a certain amount of distance between one ellipse to the next. So this one has a big ellipse out here. This one has a big ellipse out here. This needs to be so far. It's more important as you go through here. Usually they space these about 500 feet. But this is on what reservoir are you at? This is North Dakota.
Can you go back to that, Brian? What was the CC distance, the EP distance?
The CC is the calculated from wellbore to wellbore. So see, like your best guess, this is where it's at. The ED is ellipse to ellipse. That's our uncertainty distances. So these are the manipulation rules that they pound into your head. Why do they pound these into your head? Every year you have to get certified on these. Why? What are all of these are saying? So we're type closest approach at magnetic interference, limit 50 feet, limit 32.8 feet on the collision monitoring and collision rule, Intex stop drilling ACR, separation factor of 1.0. All of these are the minimum requirements that the operator or the service company has established to drill these wells. Should we go underneath these limits, we immediately stop drilling. And we call you at 2 o'clock in the morning, Saturday night or Sunday morning, and we ask you, would you like to keep drilling? Now, it could be a really fun Saturday night. Have you guys done your homework? You know what's in front of us? Are you willing to make those type of decisions given the situation that you're in? We have called numerous times. It's always Friday nights or Saturday nights. You guys are going to get that call. It's just the way it is. It's life. And that's what happens. So you guys have to know this. You familiarize yourself with these rules when you set up a well plan. The well plan passes these rules, therefore we have a good well plan. Okay, so that's kind of the beginning. We have a well plan. We have an Excel system that we use to directly deal with. Other service companies have much greater, higher-end software than that Excel sheet, but you can do it with that Excel sheet. So what makes all this happen? So the first piece on the BHA, right? BHA is what? Awesome. If I was going to have a quiz, or I was going to ask you guys questions about this, I would want you to know how these pieces are made up. Because I'm going to send you a BHA that's going to have 50 different pieces on it, acronyms. I'm about efficiency. What's an NMDC? Non-magnetic drill collar. What's a stave? Some said 6.5 inch stave, outer diameter is 6 3/4. Stabilizer. Right. Okay. So the first thing we set in the hole is a bit. Which one is the oldest technology? Tricone? Which one's the newest? Ladder. Yeah. You guys know what that bit's called? There we go. Who said that? Awesome. How do you know about that bit? You saw him out there? Were you in a hard formation? Awesome. The only time I've ever seen a chimera go in the hole, we were in California. We were drilling in dolomite at 2 feet an hour, and we tripped this thing regularly every 24 hours. 2 feet an hour. That's watching paint dry and grow in terms. It's as slow as it gets. Awesome. We'll talk about one other process that's much slower. This is the toughest, most rugged bit Baker Hughes has. Now, I'm not affiliated with Baker Hughes anymore, so now I'm going to plug the newest and coolest bits I've ever seen. NOV has a bit, so we'll just call this the blade, right? The PVC cutters are literally just hanging off the edge. You guys see the PVC on this side, how they're kind of embedded, like they're protected. There's a lot of material holding those PVC cutters in there. I was talking to this guy and said, this bit ain't gonna work at all. This is just a showroom bit. He said that they can get this matrix that holds this in here strong enough to keep the PVC cutter in there. But why they removed most of this blade is because they're finding that these blades are drag. We're just scraping along nothing. It's a flat piece of metal. It's not cutting rock. Well, let's get rid of that. So that could potentially be the future of drilling bits. Is you're not going to see fully impregnated cutters. You're going to see them hanging out there. I think it's a brilliant idea. To a directional driller, though, why do I care about what bit you have in the hole? Go ahead. Why do I care? Greg? Okay. Well, okay. In regards to this, why do I care?
Affects your ability to steer.
Where is that?
I said it affects your ability to steer.
What affects it?
Its ability to cut.
You see the front of the PDC, how it's kind of flat? They're bit salesmen, they'll bring you out a bit, they'll have the same nomenclature as one DP, 406 rigs. They will have probably 6 of these in the back of their truck, and every one of them is different. But to you, they will explain, oh, it's a DP 406X. What they do is they change the cutters. This is what their life and blood is these cutters. They change the pitch, the aggressiveness, how far out they are, how far in they are, and they collect this data. But do they tell you that they have that on location? Maybe, maybe not. To me, it's extremely important because I can pick up a DP 406X right now, and I can tell you with, I don't know, 20,000 pound run, 800 differential, we're going to probably be 2.5 wraps, 3 wraps with 5-inch drill pipe. But they snuck one in on you, right? And they have oil voids right in the front here that are meant to hold you up while you kick off. They will not let that bit fully seat to the formation. What that is a set of training wheels. You don't have all the torque right there. They snuck oil voids in. Originally, this bit is just kind of flush or flat right here. They stuck these new ones in that were, I don't know, 1/2 inch tall. We went from 2 wraps down to 1/4 of a wrap because of aggressiveness. What else? If we have something holding this bit off formation, what does that do to penetration? Absolutely not. You're not diving in formation. Do you think as a directional driller touted for the slowest people on location is interested in how fast they are? Do you think that's important to us? I'll tell you what, they calculate the time between connections, and that's on us. They take it down to the time it takes the driller to pick up a new stand, screw it together, and get it back on bottom. They have statistics on everything that we do out there drilling. They have third-party companies that track it day in and day out. And then what happens with statistics? They start evaluating rigs, price of oil drops. Then they start looking at, well, what rig can get my job done? What is the number of primary statistic that they look at for keeping rigs around? Huh? Nope. 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 What do we start out every presentation with?
Safety.
Why is that so important? Huh? Or people getting hurt. Nobody is out there to get their arm cut off in the daily process of their job. It is nobody's intention to walk on that rig floor. If it is, they're unique individuals. But it's not our job to send people home worse the way that they came out there. First off, they look at safety. The safety criteria of a rig is paramount. Safety means you have communication, you have good data, people understand what's going on around, and you have unity. Okay, so this is 2014. We were one of 18 rigs. We were in the last or second to last place with ROP. Price of oil dropped. They called us in November and they said, you guys are getting stacked out, prepare accordingly. It's a very sad moment. Your rig is your family. I talk to you guys every day, still. Oh, this is a unique family. Anyways, they set us up for stacking out in 2 weeks. It's a pretty disappointing time. Every morning meeting, we walked into that meeting, we can do this. We can get it right. We can figure things out. The first thing we took into hand is safety. We knew our safety record was going to shine through everybody else's. They've gone 6 years without a major recordable incident. That's statistically, that's anomalous. That's huge. People are going home the way they came out there. Safety is what caught us on the first get. They had another rig in the derrick was a top. They were doing an inspection, a drops inspection, and they missed an angle bolt. Unfortunately, the roughneck that was out there, the top drive shook it off. He was standing on the rig floor, and it nailed him right in the front of the skull, pierced his hard hat, and blew out the back of his brains. This is the only time I've seen CEOs, both operators and service company rig operators on location talking to us, and it wasn't even on our radar. So, first off, you've got to be safe. You have to put safety as a priority. How can we keep our employees the same way that they came out there? Because I tell you what, when you find unity, when you find a crew that's working like a machine, your production is going to skyrocket. How much time we got? We do good?
Can you explain that rapid drill pipe?
Sure.
You said you had 2 wraps.
Sure. Let me get to the motors and we'll get on it. Okay, so the tricone bit is the oldest technology. This is, as you guys can tell, these are bearings, right? These front tricones can move around. The PDC, everything's fixed. The ability to control a tricone bit is phenomenally better. I guarantee you, every one of you, I could set you in the driller seat with a tricone bit and you'd be sliding, doing my job in an hour. Plus or minus some minor issues. But an hour, you could be making the kind of money we made back then. Behind the bit is what we like to call a motor, which they turn pump into a motor. How it works, we talked about it, standards, loads, configuration, or tell us about the motor. Here we go. So, did you show them this graph?
Similar, go ahead.
Okay, so RPM is the green, torque is the red. And we have more load configuration between the stator and rotor, we have more torque. Is torque a good thing? Yeah, sure is. But is RPM a good thing? Why would you want torque? What's going to take torque? Is it a shale? Something you can wash away with the nozzle? No, it's quartz. It's something solid. That's why they're gonna take these lithologies. Like as we drill down here, there's probably 300 different proper names of lithology as we go through this to surface, and these are 10,000 feet deep. If you know all 300, I'd be very impressed. But we generalize some of them, and those generalizations determine what type of motors we use. Okay, so talking about directional, we have a bend in the motor. You see that? That bend right there, right? Does anybody know any standard bends? Not you, anyone else? Standard bends. Quickly. Huh? No. What type of angle would be between this the straight piece and the angle piece? 3? Okay. What else? Anybody else?
5.
5. That's hot. Okay. Obviously, that's a very, very steep angle in these motors. But more angle means more build rates. You can do a lot more with it. They had initially in the Milwaukee, they had intermediate radius wells. In one stand, they could be at 60 degrees. So 1 1/3 stands 125 feet